Okay, we are going to take a look at this thing called the Pythagorean Theorem. So Pythagorean is based off of a person whose name was Pythagoras. And then a theorem is a math statement that has been proven true. So they've gone through and taken the time to prove that this actually works. So what the Pythagorean theorem says is if you have a right triangle and you take the sides A and B, if you square the two of those sides, it will equal your third longest side, your C. So that basic statement looks something like A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So let's say a little bit more about this. So in a right triangle, you have two shorter sides. These are called your legs. And then you have the longest side. This longest side is called the hypotenuse. So it's your longest side. The way you could figure that one out is it's always the one across from your 90 degrees. So if you remember, we use this little box to say that this angle right here is 90 degrees. So the side that is the complete opposite is our hypotenuse. Always, always, always. It's always the longest one. And then the other two are legs. It doesn't really matter which one is which because they're both just legs. The important one is the hypotenuse. Okay, so what does that mean? So let's say we have this triangle and we want to verify that this is a right triangle. So what we would do is we would use the Pythagorean theorem. So let's pretend that this triangle had a length of 3 on this side, it had a length of 4 on this side, and it had a length of 5 on this side. So what we would do is we would take these sides and use the Pythagorean theorem. So our theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So first what I would do is I would label my sides. So we know this one, 5, is the opposite of our right angle. So we would label that as C. The other ones, we can go back and forth. It doesn't really matter. We can say A is 3 and B is 4. If you wanted to switch those out, that would be fine. So what it is telling us is I need to square my side that has 3. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a square. So this has a side length of 3. And this has a side length of 3. Now 3 squared, let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This has an area of 9. So if I do 3 squared, that is going to give me 9. Okay, now let's square 4. Okay, 4 squared. Split them in half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. This one has an area of 16. So B, or 4 squared, would be 16. And what my theorem says, okay, if I were to add these two up, what would I get? 25. So let's say, take my last side, square it. Okay, we need 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. What is 5 times 5? That is 25. And is that true? If we take 5 squared, does that give us 25? Yes, because when I take a squared and b squared and I put them together, it does equal c squared, we can say, in fact, that this triangle is a right triangle. So we say, yes, it's a right triangle. Because the Pythagorean theorem will always work. It will always tell you yes or no if it's a right triangle. So let's take a look at some of the other ones. Oh, look right here. I had it right here. So 3 by 3, there's 9 here. 4 by 4, 16. 5 by 5, 25. If I do 9 plus 16, that does give me 25. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these other ones. So this one, it's asking, is this a right triangle? It tells us I have a triangle with side length 5, 12, 13. Remember, the biggest number or the longest one is always your hypotenuse. So we're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay, so we're going to do a squared. That means 5 squared. So that means we are physically making a square that has a side length of 5 by 5. So 5 squared, 5 times 5 would be 25. Okay, so 25 plus, now we're going to do 12 squared. 12 times 12 is 144. And then it's saying, is this equal to 13 squared? Okay, well, 13 times 13, 169. Okay, so 13 squared is 169. So now we have to add these together. 144 plus 25. 5 plus 4 is 9. 4 plus 2 is 6. Bring down the 1. Oh my goodness, look. 169 is equal to 169. So we say yes. That is a right triangle. Okay, let's try the next one. Put a different color. Okay, triangle with side length 7, 8, and 12. Okay, so 7, 8, and 12. So we're going to square them. 7 squared plus 8 squared equals 12 squared. Okay, 7 times 7 is 49. 8 times 8 is 64. And 12 times 12 is 144. Okay. So what do you guys think? Yes or no? Let's see. We're going to do 64 plus 49. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 10, 11. Are those the same? No. So we say no. It is not a right triangle. Let's do one more. Okay. 6, 8, and 10. Let's try that one. 6, 8, and 10. So we're going to do 6 squared plus 8 squared equals 10 squared. So if this is true, then we say yes, it's a right triangle. If it is not true, we say no. 6 times 6 is 36. 8 times 8 is 64. 10 times 10 is 100. So let's add it. 36 plus 64. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, we get 100 equals 100. So is that true? Yes or no? So is it a right triangle? Yes or no? Yes. Because it is true, we say it is a right triangle. Cool. So now we are going to say, now that we know that that works, we're going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We're going to use that to help us find our missing length of our triangle. So often what I tell my kids is if you are in a location where, let's say, this is the school and this is your home, is it best to walk down the street and then at the light turn and go down the other street? Is that faster? Or let's say there's this park in between your school and your house. Is it faster to walk through the park to go from the school to your house? Which one do you think is better? To take the streets or to go through the park? Well, let's figure this out. We're going to check. We have a side length of 8, so that is our A. We have a side length of 15, that is our B. And then we are missing our C, so we can say that's our X. So we get A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So we're going to take 8 squared plus 15 squared equals X squared. We do not know how long that length is through the park. Okay. 8 times 8, 64. 15 times 15. Let's see, I don't know that one. 15 times 15, 225 equals X squared. Okay, combine like terms. 64 plus 225. See, 4 plus 5 is 9. 6 plus 2 is 8. Bring down the 2. Equals X squared. All right. Now, I know I'm not supposed to divide by 2 because if I split that in half, that number is going to be too big. We can't add here because there's no subtraction. We got to be doing the opposite. So what is the opposite of squaring a number? What did we say? What is the opposite of squaring a number? Let's see if we have it back in our notes. Aha. What is the opposite of squaring a number? Oh, what does that say right there? You take the square root. So if you have something squared, the way to undo that is to take the square root. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. The opposite of squaring is taking the square root. Okay, so we are going to take the square root of both sides. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So, what times what is x squared? Well, x times x is x squared, so this is my matching pair. So this is just x. Now this one saying I have a box of 289. What is my side length? Okay, so I'm going to go to my calculator. And let's see, we know 10 times 10 is 100. Let's try 13 times 13. That's 169, too small. 14 times 14, no, does not work. 15 times 15, 225, we're getting closer. 16 times 16, 256, okay, better. 17 times 17, 289, there we go. So this has a side length of 17. Okay, so we will say x equals 17. Okay, so now let's go back to our problem up at the top. So it's saying this is a side length of 17. So if I were to go through the school, let's say it would take 17 minutes. If I were to take the streets, I'll do 15 plus 8. that would take 23 minutes. So which one is better, do you think? Is 17 minutes better or is 23 minutes better? Yeah, 17 would be better. So the hypotenuse is always the shortest route. All right, one last problem. This one says, find the missing leg. We're still going to use a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we can say 9 is my a, the question mark is my b, and 15 is my c. Remember, the most important one, the one that is opposite to your 90 degrees, that is always your c. So let's substitute them in. We get 9 squared plus x squared equals 15 squared. So let's simplify what we have. We're going to do 9 squared, which is 9 times 9. And then we're going to do the x squared. We can't do that because we don't know what x is. So we're going to do 15 times 15. So 15 times 15 is 225. 225. Okay. So now we're going to do the opposite. We got to get x by itself. But before we can do that, we have to move the 81. So the opposite of a positive 81 is a negative 81. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Okay, 81 minus 81 is just 0. Bring down our variable. Subtract 225 minus 81, and that will give us 144. Okay, what is the opposite of squaring a number? Taking the square root. So square root. So it's saying I have a square of x squared. What is the side length? That is just x. So x equals this square has an area of 144. That side length is 12. So x equals 12. So if I go back here, my missing side length would be 12. Okay, so as a review, we have this new theorem. It's called the Pythagorean Theorem. And what it does is we use this formula, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, to tell us if triangles are right triangles or not. So over here, we squared all of our numbers, and we were able to determine if it was a right triangle or not. It can also help us find missing lengths. If we say it is a right triangle and I need to find the missing side, it can help us find that missing side by adding and subtracting and squaring and doing square roots. All right, now you need to work on your practice problems in the link in the weekly agenda. Thank you guys.